Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. I have an addictive personality. When I was 15 years old, I was a lot shorter than I am today. I weighed 210 pounds. And when I decided to clean up my diet, the first thing I cut out of my diet was soda, believe it or not. And I swore to never take one sip of soda because it was so much easier that way. My inspiration for completely going cold turkey on the soda, I was going to college part time. I was 16 years old. There was a girl in the classroom that I liked. And I realized that I had never cut back on soda successfully. I mean, I would do it for a time, but it always slid right back to where I was. I had a friend in college who had quit smoking. I don't know if he stayed off, but I witnessed him quitting smoking, and there wasn't that much to it. He let it go. He smelled so much better after he quit the smoking. And I thought to myself, what if the secret was to completely go off? Because one soda will just lead to more, right? Because I asked my friend, you know, maybe instead of quitting smoking, you could have a cigarette or two from time to time. He said, no, I'll just want more. And that was my inspiration to never touch soda again. Long story short, I haven't touched a sip of soda for 21 years. Unfortunately, I have never successfully used anything in moderation in the long run. I mean, in the short run, yes, I have, if I needed to for whatever reason, right? And that extends to non substances as well. I started writing computer games when I was 24 years old. I had just graduated with my PhD and I needed something to make my name out of myself and make a network of people. I competed in my first computer Olympiad when I was 26 years old. My first computer Olympiad was beautiful, but then the computer games completely controlled my life for 8 years after that. And I didn't have much of a social life during that time. And to this day, the way I handle moderation is to go on a feast fast kind of cycle. I can handle that. I'll binge write a couple computer games for a number of weeks or months, and then I'll completely take a break from that, especially if I can put away my computer games in a clean way, right? Usually I'll give myself a couple days to document what's going on, and then I'll just put it into a closet and then have a social life for a number of weeks. That I can kind of handle fast and feast. I cannot handle level moderation. That's kind of weird. Um, if I had to use something, right? Obviously, I don't have to drink soda. If I were in a situation where medical marijuana were called for, I'd probably do it in a fast and feast cycle because I can handle that. It is kind of weird. I cannot handle if you ask me to smoke like one joint every day. I don't think I would like that. But I can fast and feast. That's kind of how I'm handling some of the other foods that I have a difficult time with, right? But right now, the subject of my addiction is obviously the art projects. And it all started innocently enough. I was working at a toxic job, and I thought it would be nice to have a second source of income so that if I needed to change jobs or even pivot careers, it would make things, it would lubricate things a little bit, right? Obviously, I'm a long ways from being able to work on my art full time, right? I'm a long ways from that, but a little bit of income here and there can lubricate job changes or temporary unemployment or even a career pivot, right? And it frees myself when you allow yourself to be able to do those pivots. It frees up how you handle work life balance, right? And so for a year, that first year of my art career, I had a very beautiful balance like that, where I would take my art career and it would allow me to be myself at work. Lately, I think the situation has kind of flip flopped. My art projects have kind of become toxic, and it's my day job that is allowing myself to take it easy with the art. I think it's kind of flip flopped almost. That's what addiction does to me a lot. A lot of times, what should have been a beautiful thing becomes the subject of addiction, and completely overwhelms what I had hoped to accomplish. Right. The computer games were a good example. The art projects, sometimes relationships can be like that. When I was working on my PhD, I had gotten myself in a huge mess. I had a girl who was taking advantage of me financially, and part of the reason I allowed that to happen was, obviously I had just lost my virginity to her. It was my first experience, and I lost sight of everything else, right? And even my relationship to myself can feel like that sometimes, right? I get so like, for example, uh, a number of weeks ago, I went to see the movie Garfield, and I did it. I went to see it by myself, even though there were plenty of girls I could have asked out to go see that. In large part, because I didn't want to deal with conflict. Who knows what their schedule is going to be like, and I'd rather just have something for certain, right? I don't have to worry about anybody saying no. I don't have to worry about scheduling conflicts. I don't have to worry about how I'll make the ask, right? And so I got too comfortable with that concept, and what should have been a backstop when I broke up 13 years ago has become a 13-year relationship, right? That's how my life often turns out. What should have been a solution becomes its new set of problems, right? Because of addiction, right? And I have to be very careful, because I've had a couple of friends who have passed away from drug overdoses, and it's made me such a good driver, right? Because many of my friends started using drugs because of car accidents, and so I haven't gotten into an accident that was my fault for we're coming up to 8 years now. In large part because I'm so fearful of ever starting to use drugs. And I generally stay away from anything that has addiction potential. If I have to use it, for example, whether it be work or a food or a medicine that I need, I have a tendency to go on this fast feast cycle, because it's so much easier that way for me. When I'm not using it, I don't think about it. If I can use all I want, that's fine too. I just can't go in between. So that's why I tend to work in that kind of cycle. That's why I use my caffeine in that kind of cycle. Probably not the healthiest way to do it, but it beats a full-on addiction in some ways, right?